Don't take me wrong, I'm just taking notes as always. I'm taking actually the same as most. So how is your study time going? How much study time do you spend per week?
Per week, these days around 20 hours apart from the job.
Okay, is this average or is this like good weeks and you leave out the bad weeks?
No, I think it's average. Yeah.
Okay, so how are your mock exams going? Do you do them on a regular basis? How many have you done?
Yeah, I've done around 15 mocks so far. Quite a few internal mocks as well as public mocks as well. But yeah, and I'm planning to do another 10 in the coming 20 days.
Okay, nice. So your board date is coming up soon, or correct?
Yes, it's on 26th of August.
26th of August. So already all the best for it.
Thank you.
You must be quite nervous by now.
Oh yeah.
Okay, how is it with videos? Do you watch a lot of mocks from other people?
Yes, I do, especially the videos which you have uploaded, Johann, on your channel. I definitely do that, and it helps a lot. Yeah, I try to, but it depends upon the time, whatever time I get. Yeah.
Yeah, this could be, so I put you down with a yes, this could be my first feedback is watch these videos. You don't always have to actively watch them. There's something, while you cook, you just can watch, listen to them. It helped, and not only from my channel, but I think Melissa has, I think, the biggest list of recordings by now. Just listen to as many as possible. Let it sink in.
Okay.
How people talk, how people behave. It's something I learned that from Jakob, my study buddy. At the end of the day, when you're tired and you don't want to do anything anymore, go for a walk and listen to a mock.
Sure, yeah.
Something like that. And the same is, I did it a lot. Do you know CTA Office Hours from Steve Baines? It was a podcast a long time ago. Yeah. Listen to all of the episodes. It helped a lot to understand how Steve talks, his thought process. He lies it out really well.
Okay, sure.
For example, the people process data. He always highlights people process. This kind of. Okay. Then, how is it about your cheat sheets? Do you have cheat sheets?
Yes, I do have.
Nice. Are you done with them already?
Yes, most of them I've created all of those and I'm kind of revising. Yeah.
Yeah. So the cheat sheet process is for most people a 3-step process. The first one is you create it for yourself. Then you discuss them once, all of them, with your study buddy. Because you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Line by line. And then you usually, or this is what we did and many people do, a third time in a bigger group. Again, did you do this part already as well?
No,
I
discussed not all of them, but probably half of them, Johann.
Yeah. Make sure this should be the next priority, like really because these cheat sheets are the backbone of your presentation. Sure. If you discuss them one more time, then it gets better and better.
Yeah, sure.
No, and it's a fun exercise. Okay, and that's already with my introduction. Let's start now with the Q&A. So what we practice today is Q&A part.
Sure.
Okay, good. My first question is, what's the color of my socks?
I don't know.
Very good. Have you, somebody told you about that? No.
No.
Perfect. Slightly different. Also, you do it already really well. If you don't know something, don't say it. What I usually do is 21, 22, and then I answer. Even if I know the answer, I wait for 1 or 2 seconds.
Okay.
Just
pause and answer. Yeah.
Yes, because maybe, first of all, it shows respect. It shows you take the question serious. So again, Mohit, come on, try. What's the color of my socks?
I don't know.
I mean, come on, we talked about it for so long. Can't you give it a guess?
Red, probably.
What makes you think red?
Because that's in vogue these days, probably.
First of all, it's not red. Actually, I don't wear socks right now. It's pretty hot here. So you gave me a wrong answer and you've wasted some time. And you gave me even a weird justification. I don't know. I don't want to speculate. Exactly what Charlie, perfect. Charlie, sometimes, the judges want to help you. The judges think you know it, but if you are not sure, stick with the I don't know, because otherwise you fall into a trap. Let's say another example, sometimes people, get pushed into changing their org strategy or suggesting, and let's say you suggest suddenly enterprise territory management, for some random reason. The second one is you only answer if you're 100% sure, 100% sure, not just you think, and not even the answer, one level deeper and a second level deeper. So coming back to the end, I give you a simple question. We want to map, we have a matrix-based account ownership in our company. So accounts can be owned on different levels. What is your suggestion?
Enterprise territory management.
Okay. Let's start first. The answer, this is also my style. I only went for the board once. I'm not a judge, so this is the disclaimer here. I'm not, in any form. Repeat the question. In order to have a matrix-based account ownership, I suggest enterprise territory management. You always repeat the question. There's two reasons. The first one might be there's two other judges didn't really listen to the question in NADA. These are just humans. And the second is you might have misunderstood the question. This gives the judge the chance to correct you.
Okay.
So always repeat the question. So, or rephrase it, not verbally, but so a more different question this time. We would like to collect leads from the website. What's your suggestion?
So in order to collect leads from the website, I would recommend a Web2 lead, assuming 500 less than 500 leads are created per day.
Perfect. It's really fun with you. You got trained well. I think you have a good chat. So you did the 1, 2, 3. So in order to, I suggest, but actually you could stop after the second one. You don't have to always justify. You don't always have to give your assumptions. You can, but you try to be as short and precise as possible. So try it this time with just 2.
So in order to collect leads from the website, I recommend Web2 lead process.
Perfect. Not be precise. Is it called Web2 lead process?
No, it's just Web2 lead.
So be precise. Can you try again?
So in order to collect leads from the website, I would recommend Web2 lead.
Exactly. Perfect. Okay. Now, so another feedback, not feedback to you, but every answer should fit in 30 seconds. If your answer is longer than 30 seconds, you are usually bullshitting.
Okay.
We all know it. When I have almost no idea about a topic, I start to ramble on or add unnecessary detail. 30 seconds, and I use the the 5-finger method. So now let's do the 4th. In order to collect leads. Thanks. Is Kanthesi or Achai? Sorry. Anyway. So in order to collect leads from the website, I suggest Web2 lead. And this is like 95% of the times. You only give this answer. If you have the assumption that we have less than 500 leads per day. This is the 3rd one. You can give the assumption. The 4th one is you give the alternative. I considered. And the 5th one is I justify why I chose my solution and did not give the alternative. And you have to be able to go up and down this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at will. So let's try now with all 5. So Mohit, we want to collect leads from the website. What's your solution?
So in order to collect leads from the website, I suggest Web2 lead. I did consider form assembly. However,
you missed your assumption.
Okay. So assuming less than 500 leads will be created per day, I did consider form assembly, but I don't think we need that to capture any documents.
Wrong justification. You gave me a technical justification. Why are we CTAs there? We need to make money. Every justification is money. The justification is not wrong, but it's kind of the justification is Web2 lead is an out-of-the-box functionality which makes it easier and quicker to implement and has, it's basically tying back to money.
Okay. Money.
Money. It's I talked with Melissa before the meeting. what do? We help the company make more money, and we help the product owner get promoted. This is the two things we do for living.
Got it.
Okay, so try again with all 5.
So in order to collect leads from the website, I suggest web to lead, assuming less than 500 leads will be captured. I did consider form
per day. You have to be extremely.
500
I would
leads.
immediately ask you.
Sure. So in order to collect leads from the website, I suggest web to lead, assuming less than 500 leads will be captured per day. I did consider form assembly, but I would recommend an out-of-box solution for faster time to market.
Perfect. This is absolute perfect. Now let's do the 3.
Okay. So in order to collect leads from the website, I recommend web to lead, assuming less than 500 leads will be captured per day.
Perfect. 4.
So in order to collect leads from the website, I recommend web to lead, assuming less than 500 leads will be captured per day. I did consider form assembly. That's it, or shall I stop? Or
yes,
you
stop.
said 4, right? So no justification.
Yeah, I said 4. Yes. So what's the strategy we have? We are as short and precise as possible, and we give the judge leads the questioning. So we talk as little as possible and have the judge, if your assumption with the 500 leads is wrong, the judge will come forward and say, no, I think your assumption is wrong. It's 2,000 leads per day. So Mohit, I think your assumption is wrong. I think it's on peak times, it's 2,000 leads per day. Does this change your solution?
Yes, in order to capture 2,000 leads per day, I would recommend form assembly.
Yes, so the first thing is you say, I changed my solution.
Okay.
Again, you think about the other 2 judges who didn't listen properly.
Yes.
Not that they don't do it, but so in the light of the new information, I changed my solution. So just set the frame. And then you go on with the same 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6. Okay. Try again, Mohit.
Okay. So this was okay. Yes, I changed my solution. In order to capture more than 2,000 leads per day, I recommend form assembly, considering web to lead supports only 500 leads per day.
Yes, perfect. And now every time we change our solution, we have to think about the implications.
Implications, okay.
This is, you think it's complex, but it's actually super simple to change your solution. Try it.
So you want me to cover implications this time, Johann?
Yes.
Okay.
If we change the solution, we basically have a 6th one, which is the implications.
Okay. Yes, I changed my solution in order to capture more than 2,000 leads per day. I recommend form assembly. For that, we will have to purchase form assembly managed package and enable that in the org. Is that something you were looking for, like buying stuff?
Yeah, so this is one of the, there's 2 feedbacks now. The first one is you became insecure, and I could spot that. I would, as a mean judge, I would immediately jump into that.
Okay.
So I would personally always finish up, does this answer your question? And I prepared this sentence. Does this answer your, make a strong finish. Can you try again?
Was the implication right, Johann?
Let's do this later. First, practice the strong finish.
Okay. All right. So yes, this changes my solution. In order to capture more than 2,000 leads, I would recommend form assembly. Does this answer your question?
Perfect. Yes, thank you very much. Do you see any implications on your proposed architecture by changing your solution?
Yes, there will be an impact. I will have to install I'll have to purchase licenses for form assembly, and this would also consume my API limits.
Okay. What I do is, because it's hard to keep track of all the applications, I follow just the same structure as the PowerPoint in my head. Or you can even say it out. I could do it now. Yes, this changes my solution. I changed my solution to form assembly since we have more than 2,000 leads per day. Form assembly can handle an unlimited amount of leads per day. This has the following implications on my architecture. My org strategy or single org let's say we have a multi-org strategy. My org strategy of multi-org is also affected because we have now to use the ESP to route the leads to the correct Salesforce org. My licensing is also affected because we have to buy additional licenses for form assembly. My actors are not affected because my users do not have to have access to form assembly. My role hierarchy is not affected. I don't have to say that out, but every single time I change something, I think, does this affect my org strategy? Does this affect my role strategy? Yes, my system landscape is affected. I have to talk with the enterprise architect since form assembly is another system, another tool in our arsenal. My data model is not affected because form assembly does not come with their own objects. Or does it? I actually don't know.
No, I mean it's a form which is typically implemented outside.
But it has an app exchange package.
Yes,
so,
it has a.
So I would actually say out loud, I don't know if it has if it affects my data model. Does it affect your business requirements? Yes, as we talked about that, but any other applications? No. Does it affect your data migration? No. Does it affect your security and sharing? No. But it affects your project governance because form assembly, you have now a dependency risk because we have to implement form assembly in our project plan, and we have to make sure that in the project plan is not negatively affected by having milestones on the project and monitoring the progress. So this way, and the last one is for the CI/CD pipeline. We have to make form assembly development part of our development pipeline and make sure that everything runs smoothly. So we actually have quite a lot of implications of introducing form assembly. And this was just one app exchange package.
Yeah.
You don't have to say all of them out loud, but this way you don't miss any.
Right. And which one should I generally pick if I have to, the judge asks for that?
I personally would do at least for one of, you have to change your solution several times. This will be just either the judge makes you change it or you made a few mistakes, which definitely happen. At least for one of them, I would call out all of them just to show the judge,
Yeah.
And then you have to make a judgment yourself. What's the most important here with form assembly? It's the org strategy with the ESP. It's definitely the project management. It's the governance, I would say. And it's the system landscape. I would call them out.
Yeah.
Because it's pretty big implications.
Agree. Yeah.
So let's do another change now. Another small change. I think your solution of using the sales order object is not correct here. What if we go with the service order object?
Yes.
Just the PowerPoint. It's the same structure as the PowerPoint. Just follow it.
Okay. So with that, I will have to consider my licenses. Whether.
Let's start with the org strategy implications, okay. Just for the practice.
Okay, so if I change my sales order to service order, I don't see any impact on my org strategy. On my actors and licenses, since service order is also available in Sales Cloud, so I don't see any impact now on that as well. Role hierarchy.
I'm actually not sure. I think sales orders for Sales Cloud and service orders for Service Cloud. And we have so many people in the chat here. Can maybe somebody confirm or?
We just confirmed that in the study group only a couple of weeks, I think weeks back, probably 1 or 2 weeks back, but Melissa or others, please feel free to chime in if my understanding is wrong. Because earlier my understanding was Service Cloud for work order, but it seems now it's available in Sales Cloud as well. Someone confirmed that in 602 as well. I think James, okay. You did probably. Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So the two licenses, service and sales, are almost the same now. Okay, but continue. You have to not change your licenses. Then
yes, I don't see any impact on my role hierarchy. Yes, there is an impact on the data model, of course, because now I will have to manage the order management process in the service order. So we'll have to probably
become detailed now. What exactly changes in your data model?
Okay, so there, of course, the users who would be dealing with the sales order and fulfillment, if it is managed in Salesforce, they will have to need access to service order, and I will have to probably introduce two different record types to segregate the sales order and creation as well as the service order creation.
Yeah, what's the OWD?
OWD is private.
Very good. What's the volume?
Volume, it's
The
2
same
million.
as the sales. The sales,
Same.
same as what was.
Sales.
Make sure this is such a crucial change.
Oh, okay, because it can lead to LDV if, let's say, we are managing in one single object. Yeah.
It's not that you always have to say everything, but you know what I mean. Like, be prepared to be.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so it changes the data model system landscape.
System landscape. I don't see any impact on the system landscape.
Integrations.
Oh yeah, integrations. If there is an order fulfillment integration happening with an ERP, then I will have to map it to the service order now.
Perfect. Then security, sharing and visibility. I mean, I always call it security, but sharing visibility.
Yes. So if earlier there were different user groups who were accessing sales and service, so now I will have to look at my sharing rules and see how I can open up the access, considering it's a private OWD.
Data migration?
Data migration, yes, because now I will be migrating my orders into service orders. So it will change my ETL script and the transformation scripts at the staging layer as well. And yes, and the business requirement, of course, wherever it was sales order being created after opportunity, we will create work order. So there will be some process change in the business. From governance point of view, I don't see any impact.
Yeah. So don't take me wrong. It's very unlikely that you have to explain it all in that detail.
Yeah. But this helps because it's very easy to kind of correlate that same PPT structure and see, what is impacted, right? So yeah, you can at least think on the fly. So thanks, Johann. Yeah, that's a great.
So and now we go for the big one.
Sure.
You suggested that your assumption was that we don't have regulatory requirements, therefore we go with a single org strategy. But I read the requirements as we have to have two different orgs, one European and one American. Does this change have any implications on your strategy, on your architecture?
Yes.
You changed the org strategy now. This is the big one.
Yes. There are quite a few implications. Number one, my system landscape is going to change. So
org strategy, you start at the top, you always follow the same strategy.
Okay.
In order to not miss anything.
Okay, so starting with the org strategy, right? So so yes, this will have implications. I will have to go for a multi-org strategy, of course, and that would mean I will have to choose a strategy model depending upon how the data is going to be shared across the org or not. Is
yes,
that right?
Now you're an architect. You don't say depending on. You give a suggestion.
Okay.
You're not a consultant anymore who can get away. You're the architect now.
Right. So it's like I have to recommend the org strategy model as well. Okay. Yeah. So
you don't have to, but it's bonus points. I think if you do that, then they will come back and say, good job.
Right. Yes, so this has implications. So now we'll go for I'll recommend a multi-org strategy, considering these are regulatory requirements, and then I'm assuming there are data residency requirements. I'll go for two separate regional orgs, one in AMER and one in European region, with no data sharing enabled between those two. Coming to my licenses, of course, I will have to procure licenses for both the orgs. So this will double the amount of licensing depending upon the users.
What are the, already here, what is with, no, it doesn't double the licenses because most users are only in one org, but just a few cross-org users.
Okay, so I thought it's like regional access for AMER and European, where European users will be accessing European org and AMER will AMER.
Yes, but you have some managers. Don't forget about the managers.
Got it.
So, or business analysts or so.
So then I should say that so that would mean some users who need cross org access will have to procure licenses for each org for them. So that
Perfect.
will be that. Yeah.
Then system, then we have then role hierarchy. Will the role hierarchy change?
Yes, so there will be impact on role hierarchy because every org will have its own set of role hierarchy, and we'll have to set up roles per org rather than global. Moving on to my data model.
Is the data model first or system landscape?
Okay, so I follow SARDID, which starts with system, actors, role hierarchy, and data model. SARDID.
Okay, then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I can talk about system first. Yeah, because so in my system, of course, this will have impact on my system landscape. So since there are multi orgs, and if there are data residency concerns, I'll also have to see.
We don't have if.
Oh, okay. Yes.
You're not a consultant.
Right. Since there are two orgs in the landscape, and there are data residency concerns, I'll also have to think about the other integrated systems like ESB. I will have to go for a cloud-based ESB, and it will be deployed in each region so that the data doesn't go out of that region, and then that the agent sits still in the DMZ. And similarly, I will have to think about other systems like Heroku and Marketing Cloud, if those are there. If there are data residency concerns, I will.
Yeah, you can't park that question. If you bring it up, you have to answer that. So Marketing Cloud. What's the implication on multi-org strategy for Marketing Cloud? You brought it up.
Yes. So for Marketing Cloud, we'll have to change the Marketing Cloud connector from a single org to a multi-org, and we'll have to set up business units which will map to each org, and we'll use multi-org connector. Yes.
Yes. Do we have cross-org data?
Cross-org data? No.
Yes, products.
Oh, okay. Yes, products, because they will be set up globally. Yes.
So who will manage that cross-org data?
So in this case, one org can become the master org for the product data. No.
Why?
I mean, I was just thinking.
Okay, yeah, true. If it's not, I always think about an outside system. For me, the products are usually. But you're right. Sorry.
Okay, so one org will master the data, and then we will use ETL a process to replicate that product into the other org.
Okay, nice. Following up there, what about the website in the web to leads? How do we get the leads?
Yes.
You basically have to open your system landscape and
see. Yeah. So yeah, in that case, since it's a single website, then we will have to have a routing mechanism via if it is using ESB, so that it routes the appropriate leads to the orgs, relevant orgs. Yeah.
Okay. What comes next? Mobile app? I just follow my system landscape.
Yes. Yes. Mobile app as well. Yeah. If there is a Salesforce mobile app, of course, for internal users, that will be. I would say, yeah, every org will have its corresponding mobile app using the connected app, and same goes for the community. If there is a customer or a partner community, then each org will have its own partner or customer community with the mobile publisher app for communities.
Okay. Just for fun's sake here, we have certain, but the content of the community, like all the images, the CSS, and so still have to be shared. How do you facilitate that as two communities?
Okay, so then in that case, we can use the CMS Connect to share the content between two communities.
Nice one. Okay, then go further. What do we have next? OpenID Connect with Facebook. Any implications on your strategy? Yeah, I'm just following my system landscape.
Yes. So for that, we'll have to set up authorization providers per org for Facebook and Twitter, so that user from each community, specific community, can log in and authorize. Yes.
Yeah. We just Rush. This is a good question. How much time do you have? We currently do the super extended version. This would be basically a back and forth. So I practice. So we will then go once Mohit is done. We actually will practice to answer the same question in 60 seconds. We practice to answer it long. We practice to answer it short. So
sure.
No, you shouldn't do it that detailed if you're asked, but you should be able to. You never know.
Agree.
Every question is fair game.
Yes, definitely.
Yes. Okay. So we have that. Then we have the Canvas app. We have a
Oh, yes. So if there is an external system which is exposed as a Canvas app, so we'll have to so if Canvas app for multi-org, so we'll have to set up two separate connected Canvas enabled connected apps on different orgs so that we can see the Canvas app and authenticate.
Does the source system where the Canvas, the source system has to be changed? Can the Canvas run out of the box with multiple orgs?
Yes, I think so. But I should not say I think so, but yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Let's practice this yes again. So first of all, say yes and then repeat the answer.
Okay. Yes.
Again. So.
Okay. Yeah. So yes, the Canvas app can work with two different orgs. Same Canvas enabled app.
Stop. Now we have to practice again because like I notice when I'm the judge in mocks, I actually just listen for these kind of rambling on because I know that this way I notice that you actually don't really know. You're not sure about it, or you're not sure. Are you sure?
Regarding the Canvas app?
Yeah.
I've not tried that, but yes, I'm sure. Yeah.
What's preferred? I don't know versus guessing. I don't know. Absolutely, I don't know. Don't try to. These are CTA judges. You can't guess them. They immediately. It's even your voice changes.
Yeah.
And I can tell all of you if I look to the top right with my eyes. I know it myself. This is when I'm not sure.
And can we take an educated guess and still like?
You are in a. This is again my position, but I imagine the people across me are a CTO. Who in real life is a CTO who has a 25 million Salesforce dollar Salesforce project, super nervous, biggest transformation of his whole company. Do you think they will accept an educated guess?
Agree.
And these people smell insecurity. These people, because this is how they built their career.
Yeah. And then what is the right way to say I don't know? I
don't know.
Okay. Can we get back to this later or something?
Yeah, you can add this kind of thing, but yeah. No.
They know that it's I don't know anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and sometimes you're really blank. Sometimes you say, I'm very sorry, I'm blanking on this question. Can we maybe come back to this later?
Yeah.
Which is the same as I don't know. Yeah. because you will not know the answer later anyway. So coming back to the Canvas, because is there any implications on the Canvas app?
No, I don't see any implications. The Canvas app should work with both the orgs.
So the Canvas SDK does not have any org-specific implications on the source system?
I don't know.
Perfect, because by now I already know you well enough to spot when you're not sure.
Yeah.
So you basically just first gave me an answer where you said, I don't see any implications. And then you basically told me, I don't know, I lied to you a sentence before. This is try to, you know what I mean? It's a very risky game.
Okay. So in this case, I should say, I don't know at the first place only. Yeah. That's the, okay.
This is my personal strategy. We have so many people in the group here. I always imagine what would I do with a CTO? I don't know how you behave in your real life job. This would be also a fun question to the group now. How does the group behave? So we have the answer now. Same code works in multiple orgs and Canvas. Perfect. Nice. We have the answer now. But back to the group, maybe one or two people can answer. How do you do this in your job when you're not sure about something? Do you bullshit your way? Do you guess your way through?
I would rather suggest, okay, I'll pass that question if I don't know.
Yeah. Let me get back to you on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we continue now. We have the Canvas app. What comes next? Next comes the ERP system. Now the LDAP. For me, the LDAP is always at the bottom right. I don't know. So any implications on your identity store?
No, I don't see any implications on identity store.
You used Salesforce Identity Connect before?
Yes, and Identity Connect supports. Oh, okay, Identity Connect. But I will just use that if it is AD. If it is LDAP, then obviously I'll bring in Okta.
Okay, but still you have to adopt Okta to work with multiple orgs.
Yes, Okta, we need to change the configuration in Okta, but we don't need to bring a new instance. But okay,
Yeah,
you're saying we need to tell them that, okay, the configuration.
I don't know, you know, it's not that something, this is something which is likely you have to explain, but just be prepared in case, you know. So what happened to me in one of my review boards, there was one topic which one of the judges was really expert in. So for some reason, this judge really started to drill down into the nitty-gritty details of that topic. So you never know which topic is the one.
Yeah. Got it.
So what's the implications on Okta, on your identity store?
So we need to, so there are implications. We need to reconfigure the Okta configuration so that it can work with multiple identity stores.
Nice. Okay, we go with identity. Now the ERP system. We still have only one ERP system. How do we handle that?
I don't see any implications on the ERP system. However, there will be implications on the ESB, which will be used to integrate the data to the ERP system.
Yes, and now use the words orchestration. The ESB will orchestrate the data flow between the two orgs and ERP.
Okay.
Make sure you use as many of these words as keywords. ESBs do, what do ESBs do?
They orchestrate the between different systems. They do protocol conversion. They avoid point-to-point communication, and they also they also ensure reliable transmission of asynchronous messages.
What else do they do? There's a lot of things they can do, just for fun's sake now.
Yes. Let me think about that Bible, integration Bible. So protocol
yes, you know, the one page.
That one.
Okay, to all the group now, open this one page right now, and after this meeting, read this page again. It's only one page.
It's only one page. Yes. So protocol conversion, basically, what else? Reliable transmission of the messages.
They can do caching.
Caching, yeah.
Added security. They can act as a reverse gateway, as a gateway. They can do load balancing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things. Retry mechanisms. Yes, perfect. Yeah. So make sure this one page, you have to know every single word on this page. Okay, let's go ahead. We have the ERP system now. We have the data warehouse. Any implications on your data warehouse? By the way, how does the new, how does the ESB know to, in which org the which record from the ERP is?
From which org the okay, so I think in that case we'll have to
how would you do it in reality? Think about back. How would you do it?
So there are multiple orgs, and we need to know from which org that data is coming to ERP, right? I think yes. So for ESB, the way outbound messages work, I'm just correlating. So we have an org ID which is used to which we pass, and then the ESB would know, or the implementer of the visitor. Yes,
but now you have to store the org ID in the record in the ERP system, which changes your ERP system, which creates another dependency, which a dependency risk which prolongs your project lifecycle. No, you can't do that.
Okay.
But we can do, but what's simpler? What's even simpler than creating a new field in the ERP system?
Mm-hmm. So
we have an external ID anyway. We just introduce an org identifier in the external ID.
On, for example, the order external ID.
Yes.
So it will check the external ID and okay, yeah.
So the first letter, if it's A, then it's org A. If it's B, then it's B. It's the simplest way of doing it.
Okay.
Try this. Is another exercise you could all do is take your solution and find an easier alternative. I talked with Melissa before about that. Find your solution and think, what would an admin do? What would you do if you cannot change the ERP system? What would you do if you know what I mean? Practice simple solutions. Okay, now go ahead. We do the data warehouse. Sorry, implications on the data warehouse. Let me just get.
So considering there are data regulations per region, we'll have to bring in a separate data warehouse in order to ensure that the data residency.
You can assume that the existing systems already comply to the
Okay.
This is a very important assumption. You can assume that the current systems which are described work as expected and follow all the rules.
Okay.
No.
Okay. All right. So considering, okay, so based on that consideration, I don't see any implication on the data warehouse. Of course, again, it will be the ETL which is used to archive the data that will have to be connected to both the orgs so that we can do the archival.
Nice, perfect. I will still okay. So now we finished system landscape. Wasn't that hard? No, we still finished it. Now we have to go into the middle box. What about the app exchange packages?
So yeah, since app exchange packages are org-wide, so we'll have to install the app exchange packages in both the orgs separately.
DocuSign, how does DocuSign work with multiple orgs? Hey, all of you who have worked with SAP as a coach know why I'm asking these kind of questions. I'm just
yes. So DocuSign, considering that we are using DocuSign managed package, again, we will have to install it on both the orgs.
Do you have one DocuSign or a DocuSign works with another server? Will you have one DocuSign or unit on the other side, or will you have two DocuSign units on the other side?
We'll have one. However, we'll from both the orgs will route to the same DocuSign instance.
Okay, but we have the data residency requirements. Can DocuSign avoid to store any PCI data? Not PCI, PII. PII.
Yes, so we can configure DocuSign wherein all the signed documents are not retained after signature, so that DocuSign remains compliant. Yeah.
So DocuSign can connect multiple Salesforce orgs. You don't know.
I don't know. Yeah.
You didn't know from the beginning. Make sure. Even if you got away the first one, if you can't answer 2 or 3 questions down the line, you have to be really careful.
Yeah.
So anybody in the chat knows if DocuSign can actually connect multiple orgs? I don't know.
It can, because it has a connected apps, so you can connect to multiple Salesforce instances.
But can you, from the DocuSign side? Anyway, so have you done it?
I have configured it. I mean, I've not configured DocuSign through the DocuSign app exchange package, but I've configured DocuSign directly. So when you go to the DocuSign setup as a developer, you can create connected app, and you can say, this is the app, this is the org I'm going to connect to. So if you look at it,
you can have multiple orgs there.
Yeah, you can. I mean, okay. it allows you to connect multiple Salesforce systems. So it's like I have connected one, and I tried connecting another. It was allowing me to feed in another username there.
Okay, perfect. Good. Thank you very much. We have this finally confirmed, one of the biggest, one of the last remaining questions. So we have DocuSign. Good. Next one. Now we go to your data model. Does anything change on your data model? Mohit.
No.
Yes. You have to redo your calculations around large data volume.
Okay, from the data perspective. Yeah.
And important here, let's say we have a multi-org strategy, but we know that 80% of our revenue is in the US and 20% is in Germany. You can't, in Europe, you cannot just say, oh, I assume it's 50-50. You have to be realistic. So is there any changes to your data model? Quickly try to guess if the objects still are large data volume, if anything changes there, especially when you go from multi-org to single org, the other way around. Quickly do recalculation. File storage the same. Maybe it's now 50-50. Maybe now the file storage is, maybe you're below the large data volume considerations now.
Okay.
then you could use the data model to say, oh yes, there's a couple of objects which are actually shared across the two orgs, which is products, price books, maybe some users, maybe entitlement processes. There's a couple of things maybe which is shared across the two orgs. Okay, good. Then the business requirements. What I would add here is I do not see any cross-org processes. We just DocuSign official documentation says it's a one-to-one, not multiple connection. We take the documentation. We trust documentation. So you would need a second DocuSign server. Okay. What do you do if a customer moves from one org to another org?
Customer moves from one org to another org. So we'll have
somebody moves from US to Europe.
Yes. So we'll have to, of course, provision the customer's access in the Europe community, a Europe org community, so that customer can still continue to access, assuming that.
Start on a higher level. How does the data actually flow? What data has to, how does the data come from org to one org to another? Do you do Salesforce to Salesforce? Do you use ESB? Do you use an Apex callout?
No, so I will.
Use the words.
Yeah, so of course, I'll recommend an ESB to replicate the data from US org to the Europe org. Not recommending Salesforce to Salesforce because I mean, of course, that is not supported anymore. It is supported, but not being leveraged.
Done. You're getting tired.
No.
You're getting, yeah, you get it. This is something else.
It's my third Q&A session since morning, so.
Yes, exactly. Okay, no, this is a good point. This is no offense. Hey, again here, Melissa has been for the board and a couple of years, well, I think. The board is really, really, really long. It's just one of the most exhausting things I have done in my life, and I have done quite a few long Berlin weekends. The board was harder than anything I've ever expected. Energy management is everything. Maybe Melissa can confirm here, but fine, you will be extremely tired, especially at the end of your Q&A. You have to be very careful. The longer the Q&A goes on, the more often you might have to say, I don't know, your brain just stops working.
Yeah, I agree.
And practice what you do in the breaks. Meditations helps. Yes, agree. So this is what I want to say. You have, doing the review board, you have breaks. One is after 2 hours, one is between the review board and the Q&A presentation. Okay, what happened to me is that because I had technical difficulties, the first break was 5 minutes, the second break was maybe 5 minutes, and the third one didn't exist. What do you do? Prepare for worst case. I personally prepared the following way. I spent as little as possible energy in the first 3 hours. I didn't drink any coffee. Usually I drink a lot of coffee, but I didn't drink any coffee for the first 3 hours. So I get the caffeine rush for the last 1.5 hours. And the last 20 minutes, I basically said, I don't know. Rather say, I don't know, than say something stupid. And yes, Melissa, have your break prepared. I think I learned that from Vinay, or was it Jakob, had a really detailed plan what exactly happens in the break. It's 15 minutes, best case scenario. So have your foods ready. Know how you go to the toilet. You know what I mean? Like, have a plan. Don't just, okay. So Mohit,
we can go on, Johann.
I will. There's no chance you're getting out of it. Yeah, drink water. Oh yeah. So Priya says, so what I personally did is the day of my review board was the best day of my life because I had snacks and food all over my desk. I was eating constantly for 5 hours.
Okay.
And only the unhealthy food I'm usually not supposed to eat. Sugar and fat. But it's your review board. Do whatever helps you.
Sure.
Okay. Data, business requirements. Let's skip that now. Sharing and visibility. So, any implications on?
So sharing and visibility. No. Considering, yeah. No.
Okay. Good point. Data migration.
Yes, data migration. So we'll have to migrate the data into 2 different orgs. So which means for the ETL, once the transformation happens, we need to plan out the load.
Okay, how do you bring the data into the correct org?
Okay, so there will be a regional identifier which will identify for each record, so that once we transform the data, the AMER region data is loaded into AMER org and the other to Europe.
Okay, what you can add here, this is something I learned from Vinay, is involve business.
Okay.
Especially during the whole data migration, business is the one key stakeholder you have. So you can say something, in order to load the records, we will, in order to load the records into the correct orgs, I will work closely together with the data steward to identify the right records for the right org.
Okay.
So try to work with the whole company. And data stewards can be your best friends. Okay. Sure. Then next implication, we have data migration, we have reporting. Any implications on reporting? Yeah, the answer is yes. It's org strategy. It has implications on everything.
Yeah. Yes.
What's the implications on reporting?
So so the data would change because of course and then the access reports access to the different users will change as well. So we'll have to plan that out for both orgs.
Okay. What about cross-org reporting, which doesn't work anymore? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So for cross-org reporting, I would recommend Salesforce Connect cross-org adapter so that we can bring in, view the data of the different org. And so I'm assuming if this is about viewing the data of European org in AMER org. So if it is just about viewing the data, we can use Salesforce cross-org adapter. Or if the data volume is really high, then I would recommend Tableau CRM.
You can't use or. You can't use or as a CTA.
Okay.
You never can give options. So what's your solution?
Right. So I'll recommend Tableau CRM considering the large data volume.
Perfect. Cross-org every time keyword cross-org reporting means Tableau CRM. Or yes, as one global Salesforce org, I think the days of global Salesforce orgs are over. I think it was a good solution a couple of years ago. Now we have Tableau CRM. Good. Multi-org connector for Tableau CRM. How does it work?
Multi-org connector for Tableau CRM. How does it work? I don't know.
Good. Read up on it. Good. And now we come to the last section, project governance and CI/CD pipeline.
Okay, sure. So what's the implication on the governance? So yes, of course, our governance structure will change since there are 2 orgs now. So we'll have to create a hybrid COE model wherein we'll have stakeholders from different orgs, business and technical, which will be part. So there will be 2 local COEs, which will be set up the org
This
level.
was the keyboard, local COE.
Local COE, yes.
Who do they report to?
So local COE report to a centralized COE, which will set up globally.
Okay. What is the local COE's responsibility and what's the global COE's responsibility?
So the local COE responsibility is to take care of any local requirements.
Start at the top. What's the global? Because it's easier from the top to bottom. Always work from the top to bottom.
Okay. So this is about global COE or local? You're asking, or the whole structure?
Whole structure. What does the global COE do?
Sure. So global. So we'll start with global COE. So global COE's responsibility is to define the global standards, and also there will be a global executive steering committee which will set up the vision and strategy for the whole company. And then we will have an enterprise architecture review board, which will define the org-wide standards and systems, which we'll use in the landscape. And then local COE, at the local COE level, we will define a change control board for each local COE, which will help in prioritizing the local requirements, and also will involve legal stakeholders from each region, since there are regulatory requirements into the local COEs.
and they feed back into the global COE to probably standardize requests across the two orgs.
Yeah.
Data also flows up. Okay, great. So project governance, then project management. Does anything change there?
Project management. Yes, because you know, at the local level, since there are different business processes and requirements, we'll have different project managers corresponding to different orgs for the development and the testing.
We introduce another big risk. Since we have now two parallel work streams, we have another risk that we have to synchronize these work streams. How do you manage them? Do you have like local teams or have your global teams work on that?
Yes, so for the global changes, which are common changes, I will recommend a centralized team which will work on the central changes, and then we'll fork the code base and give it to the local team, or can also be deployed as a managed package.
What did you do?
Or
so first of all, managed package is completely wrong as an answer here.
Unlocked packages.
Which generation?
2G.
Yes. What do you do actually? You build base packages and local packages on top and use dependencies. Give me the proper answer there.
Okay.
Which one do we? What do you suggest now? We do package-based development using unlocked packages, second generation packages, where we build base packages for the common processes across the org. And with the global, within the project start, we define what's global and what's local. So we can have local packages for the local requirements, and we have a clear definition and boundaries.
Okay, sure.
There's a question by do we have to do assumptions in each of these governance usually has many dependencies? You are the CTA, you suggest what you think is best currently for the org with the information you have. Yes, you have to make a lot of assumptions that this, of course, this whole section depends like 100% on the company you're working with. You know, if this is a waterfall company, you cannot suggest agile. If this is a company which uses program architects, you will not come with a COE suddenly. You know what I mean? But we pretend that let's pretend it's a green field. This is so, yes, you make a lot of assumptions. And definitely for if we do multi-org strategy, I would highly recommend that part of it becomes waterfall, because we have all these integrations which now have to be built, you know, the cross-org, which best case I would say has been done in waterfall with a contract first development model. Is this something you would agree there from your experience?
Yes. And so so I've seen your presentation, Johann. So you always recommend waterfall - agile, right? The strategy. I typically say hybrid agile. Do you see a difference there?
No.
Okay.
I don't know. I think some people call it V agile. I think in reality, almost all of our projects now are waterfall and agile at the same time, kind of work.
Yes. Yeah.
It's just flavors of it.
Yeah. It's never pure agile. Can't work.
Yeah, and pure waterfall also doesn't work.
True.
Yeah. Okay. So, and lastly, we did the CI/CD pipeline. So again, we do the packages. So we finished it. Now give the same answer in 60 seconds.
Which answer? Sorry.
You change your solution from single org to multi-org.
Okay. All the implications.
Now, this is now your where you have to do your own judgment.
Okay.
Let me get the starter. Let me get the. Okay, it starts.
All right. So since we are changing the single org to multi-org, we'll have there will be an impact on our system landscape, on our integrations, wherein the ESB will have to communicate between different orgs. Also, considering there are different systems like ERP in the landscape, and then like Canvas applications, so we'll have to also reconfigure those so that they can work with multi-orgs. Even the app exchange packages that I'm recommending, we'll have to install it on both the orgs. Also, I see a little implication on the licenses, wherein the users who will need access to both the orgs, their licenses will be procured in both the orgs. And consider there will be an impact on my data model, LDB considerations as well, because now the data will be divided between two orgs, so I'll have to mitigate that accordingly.
Cross-org reporting.
Cross-org reporting.
Project governance.
Okay, so that.
if I would say four things, I would say system landscape, cross-org users, cross-org reporting, project governance. This would be the four things I would mention as absolute core. Maybe other people have different opinions, but this is my
system landscape, governance, cross-org reporting, because there probably you will have to bring in Tableau CRM if it was not there earlier in the single org. Okay.
This is my personal. I mean, I see all the time that we have some in the call. Are you in the call? I mean, this is kind of weird for me being here alone, and maybe some has complete different opinions to the CTA. I feel a little bit insecure now. Perfect. Mohit, you did a really great answer. You did it in 5 to 55 seconds. You changed your org strategy. So for all the people who are afraid of changing org strategy, because we all have heard the Sharma story, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We all have heard it.
Yeah, heard that.
Yeah. Changing org strategy might happen. Just be prepared. Prepare to change each of your solutions. Just practice it as we did it today.
And if it is from multi-org to single org, let's say, then we'll have to also do the reverse path there. Yeah. But okay, yeah, makes sense. One question, Johann, since we are talking about org strategy, right? So what are the key considerations for multi-org according to you? All of us have our own parameters, right?
So for what's not a key consideration for me is soft limits like data volume. Just because I have 120 million assets, I don't do multi-org. You know, this is something, you know, I just put out of the way they're not. There's so many people who say, yeah, we have 40 million accounts, we don't do multi-org. No, there's a couple of hard limits. Let's stay with the limits. There's the 2 million or 10 million / 10 million community user hard limit. This is just a hard limit. Yeah, it's technically a soft limit, but practically it's on hard. If you have like 16 million partner users, it's just not working technically. Or Martin?
16 million partner. Well, yeah, that is way over the 2 million limit. But
yeah.
We've been having continuously this discussion about customer community 10 million licenses limit. It's very confusing topic because we are getting different feedback from different places.
Yeah. So but let's stick there. It's not if it's 10 or 14, but let's say you have 50 million customer community users. Yeah, but the login licenses, yes, exactly, could help a little bit again. So there's a couple of hard limits, but this is not too hard limits, also, but not too many of them. I would say data residency. Then if there is no, this is the first one. Of course, this is a legal requirement. But then there's the Steve Bain's method. People, process, data. Do I have overlap in people and process and data? If no, if I have a no for all three, absolutely multi-org. If I have an overlap for one, let's say I have the same people, but it's completely different business processes, and I'm close to the limits, I still would do single org. So as soon as I have overlap in people, process, data, I would do single org unless one of the other limits applies.
Okay.
You know, I think only this is my personal. Just data residency is really the only one. By the way, data residency, what countries are the servers of Salesforce in, Mohit?
What countries are? Sorry,
Salesforce servers available?
Okay, so India, of course, it's available now. Germany, France, London, US, of course, Canada, Singapore as well, I believe, Australia, Japan.
Perfect. So if we do this whole data residency, we have to be aware that not all countries actually. And data residency actually doesn't mean the data has to be physical. The Salesforce data has to be in that country. With Russia, for example, it only means that Russia needs to have the data also in Russia.
Okay.
You know, so the data residency, I would definitely go back and say we have to discuss that with the legal team for details. You know what I mean? It's yeah, they need the data in their countries, but that doesn't mean that the data cannot be also outside of the country, because they need it to spy on people, not to. So sorry. Okay. So maybe we open the feedback now to the group, because first of all, Mohit, you're really well prepared. I don't see any big issues, a little bit more practice and you're all the way there. This is my feedback. What's the other feedback from the group? Also to how I did this coaching session today.
Agree. Just remove the or statements.
Yeah.
Or and if.
Or and if, yes, those are the two enemies. Yes, I'll try to work on that. But yeah, I mean, I'll start probably, Johann. I believe you were asking about how this session was, right? Is that what you were looking for? I think personally, yeah, I would say it was an eye-opener. Really enjoyed. Loved the way you structured your questions, rather than those boring ways of asking just conceptual questions like, how a name credential is configured or authorized and all. This was really, good way. And also, you helped me, of course, and I believe the other group members as well, in visualizing, right? Like if there is a change in the strategy, how can we kind of visualize the impact on different systems, which I believe I wouldn't have done without this session. So for me, it was super helpful. I would like to probably do once more. I know you're super busy, but maybe after 20th or so, just like 4 or 5 days before my board, just to see if I have worked on the feedback which you have provided.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much. So I would love to do another session. So if nobody else has a board date coming up, I would be happy to do another session with Mohit, like maybe next week or so, on talking about business. Right, this is something Melissa and I are very passionate about, putting the business into the focus. If Mohit, if you're interested in.
Oh yeah, definitely, Johann. Because one thing which I believe, based upon my mocks, of course, there were quite a good mocks, I would say, off late. But the other thing which I'm missing right now is the storytelling part. Sometimes I believe there are gaps, and also how to connect the dots. And sometimes how does that business operates? Because I think visualizing that really helps, and how to do that really quickly and kind of map your solution. I think that is something which probably I would like to work on. So if this other discussion can help, definitely on, because I know you talk a lot about business and how we can add more value. So definitely I look forward to that.
Yeah, thanks. We could do that. We'll chat with Melissa afterwards and let's see if we can find that. Yes, I studied business, so I don't actually care too much about technology. I'm just I like sales. I like the money part of Salesforce, the sales part of Salesforce, which makes me not the best developer in the world. Yeah. So others, feedback. Maybe just any.
Yeah. I would like to make one observation, because Mohit, I was judging last two mocks you did, and this is the first time I've seen the smile coming through, and I think that's maybe not as obvious thing to anybody, but the sort of the energy levels and the judges, they feel from you the personality and the energy level, and I think it really helps you once you start smiling. It makes you feel more relaxed, and even the judges feel better, I would say, about it. So I think if you can replicate it in your real Q&A, I think that will serve you well.
Okay, sure. Thanks, Martin.
This is, maybe I can follow up there. Martin, thanks for bringing that up. I didn't want to say it, but one of the, we can do one more exercise, Mohit.
Sure.
Put the shoulders to the back. I mean, I don't know if you do yoga, but put the shoulders back.
I try to whenever I get time.
Sit upright.
Yeah.
Again, somebody trusts you with a $25 million project. This person worked all their career to become CTO, and you are the one who can make him or her a success or a failure. Put your head up, smile nicely. Do you know? I mean, I learned that from American salespeople. All of them have this mirror right next to their screen. Have you seen that?
No, have no.
Okay, Melissa probably knows that as well. They have a mirror right next to their screen, so when they're on the phone, they see if they smile. So even if, yes, because even if the camera is off, and Martin is completely right, people on the other side can sense if you're smiling.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. So this is important. Yeah, yeah. I mean, 25 million. You know what I mean? I give you 25 million. You make me success. If not, I lose my career, my house, my wife, my kids.
Agree.
Okay, maybe we go on. Thanks, Martin, for sharing the feedback. Can I just James randomly or Crystal? I see Crystal here.
Could you hear me? Thank you for the session. It's a great session. You're a great coach, I have to say. Yeah, Mohit, I look at you're really relaxed, not really relaxed, but is really presented quite well, actually. Then how to react to questions. Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah,
Sure.
also I learn a lot from the strategy, how to deal with the questions. If you don't know the questions, how you should answer. Then that's a really great session. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. James.
Yeah, we will definitely be adopting your questioning style and line of logic in our future mocks. That's really something I had not heard any of us do as mock judges. So like somebody else said, it was very eye-opening. So thank you for showing us the right way to prepare for a realistic scenario.
It might be because I'm only one, and I mean, maybe Sergey unmutes himself next because he has. I think there's nobody as experienced with CTA mocks and judges and CTAs as Sergey in the group in the meeting here. I have a very particular style. Jakob, Bibo, Vinay, and we maybe over prepared a little bit. So I don't know if this is actually over preparing. I can't judge. You know what I mean? Because nobody tells you this. Make sure you get judged by as many different people as possible, not just my way.
So this is Sergey. I think, Johann, you stress, the structure, and also you do a lot of things mechanically. You just understand, some patterns, you master them, and then you don't lose time and energy on things that you just know how to structure and how to answer things. So it's really good stuff. I really enjoyed today, by the way.
Thanks for showing up. It made me a little bit more relaxed to see you, and at the same time nervous. Yeah, this is maybe the one last thing because I have to drop. I have another call soon. We are all technical people. We like to do the hard stuff. We like to discuss layered OAuth flows for hours. As I don't too much, but and many people, it's a point exercise. So focus on the easy parts. As Sergey said, try to get the easy parts ingrained in your brain as much as possible. Maybe Melissa can unmute yourself because we talked about it a little bit before. Practice the easy parts more than the hard parts. Does this make sense? So put a lot of effort into optimizing your first sentence, your last sentence.
Yeah.
Just in terms of to respond to that and some feedback as well, I think the biggest part that impacted me was how we can have a really, really long answer and then condense it to 60 seconds.
Yes.
Right? That part was super useful for me because I'm like, okay, I can think through all of these different items and then I need to be able to either condense it or expand on it depending on the type of questioning. And the second part of that was also answer the question directly. Don't add anything else to it. There was a part where Mohit added a part to an answer, and the first thing you did was, okay, tell me about it. You mentioned Marketing Cloud. Tell me about Marketing Cloud, right? And you followed up, and Mohit was excellent because he knew all about it, right? He said, okay, great, yes, different business units. He had his answers ready, but if he didn't, he accidentally opened up a can of worms for himself by adding Marketing Cloud at the end of the previous answer when he didn't need to. So it's like, just answer the question directly. Don't add little things onto it at the end. So those two parts were really useful for me. But yeah, Mohit, he did an amazing job, which was great. So thank you. And then Johann, yeah, there's condensing and expanding your answers was super useful exercise for me.
Yeah. Following up that, this is a really good point. This maybe when you are judging other people in the mocks, I mean, we all like each other. We all try to be nice to each other, but don't. And the judges in the CTA also want to help you, but don't when you do mocks. Try to find the gaps. Try to start to enjoy making the other one break. I mean that. Break the other one. Don't be nice. Don't be friendly. If in your study group somebody says, I suggest external account, like the same way I did it with DocuSign. You remember when I asked with DocuSign, somebody said, I know it, we can do multi-org. Are you sure? Did you implement it yourself? Did you find the documentation about it? It's not enough to know 99% sure. You have to be 100% sure. 25 million, 100 million projects, billion dollar companies depend on your answer right now. And with DocuSign, this could be a major hassle. This could delay a project for 3 months. This one small mistake. Mohit, I guess you have seen that in reality, these mistakes?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm dealing with one right now.
You can't, can you share it? I'm always curious.
Oh yeah, so basically in one of the programs, internal programs, we have lots of invoices, and there are certain regulations now to e-sign those invoices before sending it to the customer. So which means that there are millions of invoices which are being raised internally. Of course, Salesforce, right? It's a global company, global customer base. So and how can we leverage DocuSign, and how can we bulk sign those invoices and do that? And then we have lots of internal orgs, where the customer data is processed. So kind of dealing with that right now. And then storage is another concern, because once the invoice is generated and signed, where are we going to store that data? Because it's a million of invoices. Are we going to store it on the org, outside the org? So kind of, I'm working on that strategy right now. But yeah, as of now, I was about to enter into that multi-org connection thing probably next week, but yeah, the question came up today, so which was good to know. That happens.
Great job. Okay, good.
I like the way that you actually give us the pointer, right? So be in your PowerPoint deck, right? Whatever the artifacts that you created, I believe when you change something, try to actually work on that, the whole artifacts, right? Maybe a lot of things that might change, like your actress license, your system landscape, the reporting, or anything that you suggested, maybe mobile strategy, data warehousing, and all this. So that is a very good flow. So I really like it's a very good eye opener for us.
Yeah, we don't want to happen a second time the Sharma presentation. I think it was a good lesson for all of us. I was so scared of that. I have to say this is why I practiced so much on changing my solution.
Yeah. So do you recommend, Johann, that we should create a checklist of these things just to remember, or or just look at the artifact structure and kind of go through that?
If you go for the board and you don't know this checklist yet, you shouldn't go for the board.
Yeah.
No, this should be so ingrained in your head. So this is kind of a fun, coming back to the easy part. So what did I do the last couple of weeks before my my review board? I did the boring parts. I drew data models over and over and over again. I drew the OAuth flows over and over again. I created my PowerPoints 20, 30 times in a row. In the morning, the first thing I did, I created the same PowerPoint. So I create the PowerPoint, I delete it. I create the PowerPoint, I delete it. I draw my system landscape, not for a certain scenario, but the 80% system landscape. I draw it, I delete it. I draw it, I delete it. So I made it that my body can create 80% of the solution without me actually thinking. This frees up energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sam, absolutely. Sam did it at a micro level. Yeah, the same as me. Like, I know who of you knows people who do play games really fast. How they speedrunners. I did the same as speedrunners. I timed everything, and then I was like, okay, how can I shave off 30 seconds of creating my system landscape? Okay, I copy paste this arrow, then I group this, then I do this. I really
exactly the same. Exactly the same. And what you said earlier about changing how you describe something to be more concise. Hamza, you described it. I did the same thing with that too. So one of the approaches was to explain it and then see which words I could cut out to make it what are the key words in that sentence that would still provide the detail but without the fluff.
Sam, can we practice, just for an example, can you please change your org strategy from single org to multi-org in 30 seconds?
So the no, it's been too long. No, so I from single org to multi-org. So I would change my solution from a single org to a multi-org on the basis that the processes are different between the individual business units. However, that would imply changes to my integrations, and I would need orchestration complexity to be added in to consider where the data needs to go for each individual environment. I would potentially also incur additional licenses for those users that would need to be in a hub org that need to be incorporated into the cost, and also a governance model would need to change so that you have a central governance body that propagates the vision and standards down to each individual org, whilst also maintaining change management within each org and where autonomy needs to be governed.
It was 54 seconds, so yes, but
not so bad.
Not so bad. There was not a single word in there which was not conveying information.
Yeah.
This is a good point, Sam. Like optimize every single sentence. Sam, did it change the way you communicate with your customers?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Two ways. So the first way is that in answering any question, I would take a pause. And then I would try to say it in 1 or 2 sentences, answer the question in 1 or 2 sentences. Sometimes that's just not possible. But you will end up still with less than half a dozen to explain something. The second way that it influenced it was that I ended up reading through or listening to what people were saying and picking out the keywords in order to understand exactly what they were asking for. And that made me do exactly the same in providing an answer. Does that make sense? So when someone asks a question, what are the key words that they've presented in that question that are important that I then need to reflect in my answer? And it's those that you focus on. Everything else is just fluff.
I've asked that because oftentimes we get the criticism that the CTA review board is not realistic and it's just a test. And so I think not. I think Sam, do you agree there?
Oh, I completely agree.
It's really realistic. I don't know. It's a Salesforce project. The CTA review board covers not everything in detail, but it covers what a Salesforce project encompasses. Not every time everything, but you should think about everything. I have to drop now. Should we repeat the same session next week or in 2 weeks, Mohit?
Yeah, I'm up for that.
Nice.
Charlie also wants to be a victim too.
Who? Charlie? Yes, but I would like to follow up with Mohit because he has his board date coming up soon. Charlie, I can't remember. When was your board date coming?
In the week of September 13th.
Yeah, so we have a little bit more time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks.
Okay. How can we improve the storytelling part? Connecting the dots. Tune in next week, same time with Mohit, and maybe we can also bring in Charlie. See you. Have a good time.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you for joining. Bye.
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 Thank you. Bye.